And the felony gun case against Hunter Biden could be in the hands of the jury by the end of the day. Prosecutors rested their case last week. Now the president's son will have to decide if he'll take the stand in his own defense. ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran joins me now from the courthouse in Wilmington, Delaware. Terry, big day in court today. What risks does Hunter Biden have to consider in deciding whether or not he'll testify?
You know, Diane, it's a hugely risky decision for any defendant. Remember, every single person has the right not to testify. Nothing they say can be held against them, and they don't have to testify, and there's no inference that jurors can take from that. And yet it's been clear Hunter Biden wants to testify, and in this kind of a case, he's really the only person who can fully take jurors into what his state of mind was when he bought the gun that's at the heart of this case. And the defense has brought testimony out from some of the Biden family members that he was clean from drugs in those days. But really, Hunter Biden can tell that story. The risks, tremendous. The prosecutors would have just a field day during cross-examination because of all of the behavior the jurors have already heard about. And more important, prosecutors were able to get testimony from some of those same Biden family members that would contradict Hunter's claim that that day that he bought the gun, he was clean and sincerely did not lie when he checked that federal form that he was not abusing drugs.
Now, Terry, the defense called Hunter's daughter Naomi to the stand to testify about how great her father seemed at the time that he had that gun, but she struggled to explain text message from that time where she seemed concerned about his addiction. So how vulnerable does that leave the defense if Hunter doesn't take the stand?
Yeah, Diane, that was a really tough day. And this case, as so many ordinary criminal cases are across the country, is a family tragedy as well. Naomi Biden came in to testify for her dad. And she said, you know, I remember those days, and he was trying to get clean, and I was so happy for him. And so you were taken into really that very intimate space between a father and a daughter in a marriage that had broken up years earlier. And yet on cross-examination, it was very tough because prosecutors showed Naomi her own text messages where clearly she's concerned about her dad in those days immediately after he bought the gun, about his addictions. At one point, they also got her to confirm that that very night that she was texting him, he wanted his car keys back from her at 2 a.m. in Midtown Manhattan, and her boyfriend, now husband, brought them to him. And so it was a tough day, no question, for Naomi Biden. What the jurors make of it, look, I don't think jurors hold it against family members at all when they stand up for their loved ones. I think they weigh that in the balance and make of it what they will.
And Terry, he faces a potential 25 years in prison if convicted. How likely is it that we could actually see the president's son behind bars after this case?
You know, Diane, I'd be shocked. I mean, you know, anything can happen, of course, but this is a case that is almost never brought by the federal government, by the Justice Department. This is a standalone offense by somebody who had never committed a crime before of lying on the federal gun form when they were addicted. They bring maybe a few dozen cases like that a year. Those are generally cases that are added on to other drug or gun crimes. And with somebody in Hunter Biden's position, it's usually a diversion agreement where they go into treatment, stay clean for 3 years, and the charges are dropped. They took this one to trial because that plea deal fell apart. It would be shocking if somebody in Hunter Biden's position, not as the president's son, but as a first-time offender in this case, in a case that he never used the gun and was addicted to drugs, that's the basis of the prosecution, that person would get prison time. But he does face it, and there is bad blood between the defense and the prosecutors over the collapse of that plea agreement. So anything can happen, but it would be highly unusual for someone in Hunter Biden's position to go to prison for this crime.
All right, senior national correspondent Terry Moran, thank you.